Hey y'all, hi. I'm back with a quick, hopefully famous last words, a quick video updating you on the progress of my project to spend less time shopping in 2024. This is, I guess, the third video in this project series. I mean, maybe it'll be a series if I keep doing it. Maybe it's already a series since there are now 3. And maybe I will keep updating you because it's turning out to continue to be interesting and to continue to unfold, which is why I'm filming today. So the first video is from the middle of January and the second one is from about a week later. And the first one introduces the project. It's basically just I'm only allowing myself to shop, and that's like buying stuff but also browsing, like even considering stuff. I'm only allowing myself to do it on the weekends. So the first video I outline it and give you my whys and wherefores, and the second video just a week later is about how the first week went. This video, I guess, is about how the first month went because now it's been a month. And if you're new here and you end up enjoying yourself and you think you might want to watch more of my videos, some of which are just straight up makeup and beauty videos, some of which are about fashion, some of which are about poetry these days, then I hope you'll subscribe. But for now, let's get into the meat of this video. So I have one major update and then a couple of just reflections and maybe a little bit of information about the details of how it's going. But the main thing that is hitting me like a bullet train at this point, a month in, is that I'm realizing just how much it adds up. Now, how can I say this? I'm really winging it today. Maybe you can already tell. How best to communicate the thing? I have one big thing to tell you, and I am a bit stymied thinking about how best to communicate it. Okay, here we go. I was going about it one way and I'm going to come and go about it the other way. So what's happening is that I'm pretty much sticking to it. We'll get more granular at the end of the video about how it's going, but I'm pretty much sticking to it. Monday through Friday, absolutely no time on shopping websites, no browsing, no comparison shopping, reading reviews, thinking about what I might buy. If anything ever occurs to me that I want to research or that I think I need to buy, what I do is I open a tab in my browser and then I drag it over onto a separate window and I throw it there and I just don't even look at it until the weekend. So come the weekend, I have usually this bunch of tabs open that I need to sort through and make decisions about. And sometimes I've written things down on a list. So I have like a little list of things that I need to buy, but it's mostly just things that I, at some point during the week, got the brilliant idea to consider buying, right? I was like, oh, I think I might want X. So it's so exciting. I get to spend time researching it, thinking about it. I want another pair of pants from Ozma, or like, I want a cotton cardigan. And so then I'm just like, oh, I do what I would do if I didn't have this rule, which is I type in the search or something and then I just push it aside. So I go and I have all of this juicy research and clothing items and makeup items and homewares and things that are waiting for me. Over the course of the week, I've built up this fantasy of them as like juicy research projects and really exciting things and things that I can't wait to decide on and I can't wait to buy and then I can't wait to have them. And I got all of these good ideas over the course of the week and it's going to be so exciting when I get to execute on those ideas and buy the things. And the weekend comes, and as I discussed in the second video in this series where I had just been doing this for a week, the weekend comes and it's like researching a bunch of stuff that I might buy that I don't even need is just not enticing during the weekend because I'm doing other things on the weekend. It's no longer a form of procrastination because we try not to work, at least on Sundays, we try not to work as much on the weekends as we do during the week. It's hard when you're self-employed to put those boundaries in place, but we try. But it's like on the weekend, I'm taking time away from the things I would most like to be doing by doing that research. Whereas during the week, I would be procrastinating things that I don't want to do that research. So during the week, it feels really appealing. And then the weekend, it's suddenly less appealing. And it's like the research, but also the objects themselves are less appealing. This is, again, rehashing information from the second video, but it's continued to be true. That I realized that during the week, my brain is sort of tricking me into thinking that the stuff itself is very, very desirable, when in fact, it's the research that I desire. It's the procrastination that I desire. So I get to the weekend, there's this whole laundry list of things. I start going through it and I'm like, why did I even want this? Why did I want to spend my time researching these things? And I'm just like knocking them off the list. But, and here we're getting to the big revelation that made me say, aha, I need to sit down and film another video about this. A couple of weekends, there have been a handful of things that I maybe do want to buy, right? That I'm interested in. And I have found time here and there in the weekends to indulge myself in this beloved hobby of thinking about beautiful things and kind of comparison shopping and considering acquiring a new garment here, a new lipstick there. And that's fine. That's what I expected to do. When I set up this project, I expected that I would spend time every weekend having an absolute ball deciding whether or not I actually want to buy any of these things. Because I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I'm just trying to put that hobby, as I said in the first video, in its place. Keep the hobby, not shame myself for it, enjoy it, but put it in its place in terms of how much time it takes up. But here's the thing that's happening. I get down to it on the weekends and I'm like, oh, I do want to buy a new pair of pants and a toothpaste. Like there will be all of these little things, like a different toothpaste and maybe like a new heating pad for my neck, a buckwheat pillow to heat up in the microwave and put on my sore neck. But the one I had is falling apart and I want a nicer one. There will be this little list. A bunch of things will get kicked off the list immediately because they were just procrastination tactics. But then there will be this list of things that it was kind of reasonable for me to think that I might buy on the weekend. But when I look at them all together, the pants, the toothpaste, the heating pad, I don't know, a belt. I'm just naming random things that I actually did think that I wanted to buy at some point over the past month. It's Sunday afternoon. I have a moment. I comparison shop. I pick out a beautiful belt, a beautiful pair of pants, beautiful toothpaste, beautiful heating pad. And then if I were to buy all of it, adding it all up, it's like a couple $100, especially because I like a nice belt and I like nice pants. It's too much money. The prospect of buying it all at once, it's too much money. And in the face of that, I lose my taste for most of it. Usually like the pants and the belt. It's like the things that are just my indulgences, like my treats, but really I have pants. I actually don't own a belt. It's something I'm seriously considering acquiring. I'm starting to get curious about styling pants with a belt, but I don't need new pants. I don't need a belt. The toothpaste I did need, but actually I'm just still sticking with my old heating pad as well. Open to recommendations though, if you have one that you really like. It's like the busted one is fine. I'm just continuing to use the busted one. Because when it came down to it and I was like, do I really want to spend all of this money on 4 or 5 things all at once on Sunday afternoon and then have all these packages coming in the mail? I just don't want to do that. And putting it all together, grouping it all together at once, it shows me that I don't want to spend a lot and I don't want to buy a lot on a visceral level, on a very visceral level. And it causes me to kind of comparison decide. And usually what has happened over the past, I think 3 weekends, is that I end up just picking one thing. And it's little things. It's like the toothpaste. I'm just like, well, I definitely need this toothpaste, but I'm just going to buy that. And then all these other things, I just don't feel like spending all that money. That's how I end up feeling. And so what has happened, because that happened every weekend for 4 weekends in a row, because it's now been a month, is that I saved way more of what I get paid by our business in a month than I usually save. Like I looked at my bank account and I was like, that hasn't really happened since my no-buy year. I'm just used to spending kind of a chunk of my spending money every month. And having the taste for spending my spending money kind of turned to ashes in my mouth every Sunday afternoon when I see how much money it would be if I bought all the things I want all at once. Having that happen 4 weeks in a row, I just barely spent any of my spending money. And it made me realize, and this is the big thing, this is the reason that I'm filming a whole video about it. It made me realize that the old way, which was indulging in my browsing and comparison shopping behavior, my research behavior, a little bit every day, or maybe even a lot every day, having it be my procrastination method of choice, even though I often did not end up buying a thing. As I said in my intro video about this project, it's primarily about the time that I was spending. And I wasn't overspending. I was just, spending the amount of my spending money that I have to spend. But spreading it out meant that I was buying each thing in sort of this false isolation. So I would be like researching toothpaste and researching heating pads and researching pants and researching a belt sort of on and off day after day in these undulating overlapping waves with my spare time over the course of maybe a couple of weeks. And I wouldn't buy anything, and then I would buy the pants. just randomly on a Wednesday night, I would be like, I finally decided I want the pants. And then I would keep on going, waves of research and time going down the drain. And then maybe on the Monday, I would like buy the toothpaste. And then maybe that Thursday, I would decide about the belt. And then maybe the following Sunday, I would be like, I'm just going to grab that heating pad. And it's only $35. And this one is too busted. I'm ready to replace it with a new one, right? And so it would feel like I was only buying something once in a while because the amount of research that I was doing compared to the amount of actual purchases that I was making was so dramatically different. But just because I was doing way more browsing than I was actual shopping didn't mean that my actual shopping, my actual spending was maybe as well considered as it could have been. It just meant that I was spending way, way too much time browsing. I don't know if that's the best way to set up that fallacy. I guess what I mean to say is that the relatively small amount of actual checking out with my cart that I was doing was only small relative to the very large amount of browsing that I was doing. And when I made my browsing much, much less, when I like squeezed it down to just a little bit of time on the weekends, that suddenly made checking out with all those 4 carts, like the 4 carts that I maybe would have spread over 3 weeks before, checking out with all of them in one afternoon on one Sunday, that made that seem like a lot of money, a lot of stuff to be buying in a short amount of time, and a lot of purchases to make relative to the small amount of browsing that I did. And that is what has made my taste for buying those things turn to ashes in my mouth. And what it made me realize was how much I was tricking myself before into thinking that I really wasn't buying all that many things or I wasn't spending all of that much money because of spreading those purchases out and watering them down with all of this extra browsing time. That's the thing that I wanted to communicate. It kind of is blowing my mind now after a month of this new schedule. That is something to keep hold of in the future if I go back to another system. So far, this system is working beautifully for me. I love it. I love it. I love this rule. It challenges me, but it's not impossible. It's like right on that edge. The rule to not do any browsing or thinking about what I'm going to buy Monday through Friday. It really does challenge me. There have been some times when it's hard and I've pushed it a little bit. Like once or twice on a Friday evening, I was like, fuck it, it's the weekend, which is not what I said that I would do. I said that Saturday and Sunday would be the 2 weekend days. So that's like a little bit of a cheat. And then there was one day when it was Monday and I wasn't ready to let the weekend go and I was feeling really sorry for myself. And I threw myself a bone, and that evening I did like one little bit of pants research. I felt bad though when I did it. I was like, ugh, I hate not keeping my social contract with myself. It was like eating a yummy treat and then having a tummy ache, which is a good learning experience, you know, and it'll stop me the next time that I'm tempted to do that. But this is just to say that it's not like I'm just gliding effortlessly through this challenge. It's right on the edge of what is difficult for me. And so it's pushing me and kind of like changing the shape of my behavior. If it was too easy, it wouldn't make as much sense to be doing it, you know? So that's what I meant when I said that I was doing relatively well at sticking to it. I think all things considered, I'm doing quite well at obeying my guidelines for myself. And I haven't modified them. I've thought a little bit about, though, incorporating Friday evening as part of the weekend and then trying not to browse on Sunday nights, because I talked about that issue of Sunday night, like staying up late on Sunday night to make final decisions about things because I know that I'm not allowing myself to make any of those decisions on Monday, and then losing sleep on Sunday night, which is like the first night of the week. And so you go into the week sleep deprived and having that not be ideal. That actually did happen one other time. It happened the first week, and then it happened, I think maybe not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So it might make sense to have it be like 6 p.m. Friday to like 6 p.m. Sunday, kind of like have that be the weekend. I'll continue to think about it. I'm not too worried right now about those exact details because overall the shape is holding me. You know, like the shape of the project is holding me to my edge of transformation, I guess, and holding me to my word, like holding me to the desires of myself when I set this up. I'm not going to go into it in this video, like the specifics of the couple of things that I did decide to buy. I could do that in another video. I could talk about the nitty gritty of how it's gone. But the thing is that it just hasn't been that much. It hasn't been that much because facing everything that I would like to buy in theory all at once and facing the prospect of buying it all at once in one fell swoop shows me how unwise it would be to buy all of the things that I want. just financially unwise. And it's interesting because it's not necessarily financially unwise like I can't afford it, because again, it would be just spending a chunk of my spending money, but that I just don't want to. I just don't want to be spending that much on those kinds of things. I fundamentally would rather save more of that money than spend it. But it's like I've been drip tricking myself into spending more of it than I want to by doling it out in little bits and pieces over the course of days, adjacent to my drug of choice for procrastination, which is the browsing behavior. So I'm gladder than ever that I decided to do this. I kind of did it on a lark. I was like, oh, this will be good, and this is definitely what I really need. I need to take back my time. But as always with these projects, the details of the transformation, I don't really know about them. I mean, I feel I anticipate some of them. And then there are other details that I only learn about as they reveal themselves to me, like in the midst of the project. So I'm glad that I took a moment to sit down and just update you and share with you the most recent revelation. Let me know how it's going with your no buys and your low buys, especially those of you who decided to try exactly what I'm doing. I'm so curious to know if you're having similar experience about a month in, or if you've discovered different things. Thank you, as always, for being here and spending this time with me. And as always, don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. I think we got it.